If they're not gonna fight at this weight, what's the point? Hello, and welcome. This time, I'm gonna be talking about the UFC. Everybody pretty much knows what the UFC is, but in case you don't, it's the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Throughout the years of me semi-regularly watching the UFC, I've noticed a few glaring problems. And it doesn't seem like people want to change it. Here's what I mean. Firstly, the weight cuts are the most unnecessary thing I've ever seen. It makes no sense. I still have no explanation for it, and yet it's still being done.
$24.6 for TJ. Championship weight.
The idea behind it is both competitors are gonna be at approximately the same weight, so they can have a fair fight. The problem is they cut up to 20 British pounds every time. You're not gonna tell me that Dustin Poirier, this guy that's exactly my height and basically has kind of the exact same build I have, is 25 British pounds smaller than me, or close to 30. There's no shot. This man is the exact, like, we probably have the exact same build, and he's probably more muscular than I am, and he weighs less than me? Are you kidding me? There's no shot. These guys taller than me, way less than me. There's no shot. Like, what's the point? If everybody knows this is not the weight they are gonna fight at, if they're not gonna fight at this weight, what's the point? What is the actual point? There is no actual point. Weight cuts are just, okay, we're gonna make it seem like we fight at X weight, but when we go in the ring, we're gonna be 20 British pounds heavier? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? What's the benefit?
As far as physically, no, you're fucking your stomach. You're definitely. So I'll weigh in at 136, 135 next fight, championship weight. Yeah. I'll be up to 158 that night.
So the benefit is, can you butcher your body to lose 20 pounds so we can say that you are that weight and then go back and rehydrate? Like that, there's no actual benefit to doing this. On the contrary, this type of dehydration just fucks you up. It just fucks your entire body up. There's no actual good part about this. Now, I know that ONE FC has introduced hydration testing, which is great, but there's loopholes when it comes to hydration test also.
Like, how are you gonna get smaller without dehydrating?
That's the science behind it. You have to. So what I've heard people do is that they would drink a lot of water, get their bladder full of hydrated water, right? And then they'll go work out, lose the weight, and your bladder still has that hydrated water. And then what they do is, I'm on weight. I weigh 135. I have this hydrated water or urine, space piss in my bladder. Then I go out there and I pee, hydrated, and then I weigh in 135. So I've heard people do that before as well. So
there's like some shenanigans.
The only real fix is to weigh them before they go in the cage. The second problem the UFC seems to have is judging.
Dustin the Diamond 49-46 for the winner by unanimous decision, and still 48-47 for the winner by split decision, and still for the winner by split decision, and new Daniel Dean by split decision, and still.
You get the point. Most controversial wins, most controversial takes are always in the judges' scorecards. Either these people don't know how to judge, or basically it's, you have to finish this person or else you might be shit canned depending on who the crowd favorite is. That's basically all the judging is. It's just nothingness. The judging doesn't matter in the UFC. Judging is probably the worst part of it because it's inconsistent. It makes no sense. And these people, like, when a judge makes an off decision, it's like, okay, this guy sucks.
It was kind of a weird judges scorecard in that they gave it to Paula, I think.
It wasn't weird. It was, that guy should never ref a big fight again.
And everybody moves on. That doesn't make factual sense. You have to dig deeper. Why did this person do it this way? And also, there should be a possibility to overturn a certain ruling. There's no way. There's no way. Like, you have cameras. You have certainly like, hey, let's just recount the whatever. Like, there has to be something like, okay, this decision is going to be postponed until whenever. Like, this should not be the case. There should be a breakdown of whatever the fuck is happening, because some people will just be robbed on decision just because they're not liked, or the company politics is different, or they want to promote a different guy because this guy brings in the pay-per-views. Which leads me to the third problem. The rankings do not matter. The pound for pound rankings don't matter either. If Dana White says that John Jones is the pound for pound champion, if Dana says that John Jones, who has fought once in the last 4 years, is still the pound for pound champion, I mean, sure, man, whatever. While another dude who's just crushing everybody isn't, just because the other guy has a legacy. Nobody's arguing who's a GOAT. People are talking who's the pound for pound champion, an active champion. Nobody cares. Like, if the boss wants to promote a fucking fight, he's gonna say,
John Jones has never lost a fight ever. He's fought all the baddest dudes in the world. And then when you think about what pound for pound rankings really mean, he moved it up to heavyweight and destroyed the best guy in the world. As long as John Jones is still fighting, active, and in the rankings, yeah, nobody's pound for pound best fighter in the world.
Basically, it's just marketing, all of this. Like, the ranking made no sense. You could be ranked 7 and you could be fighting for a championship. Like, it doesn't really make sense. The way the UFC seems to be working, you beat 2, 3, 4, whatever Dana decides for you to beat, okay? If there's a hype behind you, you're getting a championship shot, okay? If people don't like you, oh man, it's gonna take a while.
Edwards versus, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Dana, please. I'm the only one in the division that deserves it.
Rankings, 0, makes no sense. Get rid of them, pointless. The fourth issue the UFC seems to have is their dog shit gloves.
It's also the first time that, we're going to have the new UFC gloves, and Islam was saying, they might lead to more cuts because they're
they suck.
smaller. Yeah, you don't like them?
Yeah, they suck, dude. I don't know who, can we talk to the person who designed these gloves?
Sean Strickland was in here, and we asked him about his opinion on the new gloves, and he didn't like them at all. He said he's curious who designed them, and it didn't feel like they'd ever been in a fight.
Honestly, I don't like too much.
Eye pokes, forcing the players to super contract their goddamn forearms to keep the gloves closed. Those are really counterproductive gloves. They're just promoting them to loosen up, and they're kind of forcing them to loosen up, and it's just making them eye poke. Obviously, eye poking is a pretty deliberate action. People suck. If you want to counteract that, some dude on Joe Rogan once brought really good pair of gloves.
It's the worst part of the night for me when I fight, is putting those gloves on. If you start getting a burning in your forearms just to make a fist, you're constantly fighting, constantly pulling you open.
The natural thing
The
for
natural
those
thing
gloves
is
is
boom.
keep your
It
hand
makes
open.
no sense. It pulls you here.
And then as you squeeze it, it's hard. It's hard.
Constantly, you have to use your forearms.
at the end of the fight. That's what everybody talks about.
Oh, this is way better.
Put you in
So
such
you're
a
not gonna have here,
comfortable
but
hand, but
look
it's
how
a
you relax.
normal position.
Have you brought these to the UFC?
I have.
It's far superior.
But in the end, since Dana is with some other garbage company, and I'm assuming something happened and it fell through, and now they have the new shitty gloves. Just make better gloves. The last point, which is something I'm obviously not sure of, and I'm not in there. I've not seen any of their contracts. Is fighter pay. It seems like unless you are basically the champion or number one contender, people seem to be complaining that they're not making that much money. Now, I don't know the financials of the UFC. I don't feel like it's a dying company. I feel like they're breaking records every time. So maybe there should be an increase in fighter pay. I don't know. But the idea is, since you can potentially die doing this thing, I feel like there should be a bit more reward or compensation for the risk you're taking. Now, these are just a few issues that I've seen with the UFC. Sure, there's the problem with fighters' mental health.
Fucking, yeah, it's crazy shit, dude. Crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
All the outbursts people seem to be having. You gotta keep in mind, these are athletes, they're not rocket scientists, so their emotional regulation is nothing. Now, I know there are other issues with the UFC, but I see these as things that have been there for a while and things that overall damage the athlete. But that's my take. I've been Ruz, and I'm out. Bye-bye.